In 1985, America was fighting a secret war most citizens never knew existed. And inside the FBI, something terrifying was beginning to unfold. The Cold War was reaching a dangerous stage. Washington feared Soviet spies were everywhere, watching, listening, and searching for America's most valuable secrets. Then the FBI discovered something deeply disturbing. One of its own former agents was accused of betraying the country he once swore to protect. His name was Richard Miller. He had worked inside the FBI, surrounded by sensitive information and the machinery of American counterintelligence. But investigators began asking a terrifying question. How much could someone like Miller actually know? Miller was not some distant enemy operating from behind an iron curtain. He had once been part of the American system itself. That made the case especially dangerous. Because the greatest threat was no longer simply someone trying to break into America's secrets, it was the possibility that the secrets were already being carried out from the inside. As the investigation developed, Miller became connected to a Soviet espionage investigation that shocked the Bureau. The FBI had spent years hunting foreign intelligence officers. Now, investigators had to look much closer to home.
The threat was no longer just outside.
And every new discovery raised an even darker
already
possibility.
Compromised.
Had someone trusted with America's secrets betrayed that trust? The timing could hardly have been worse. In 1985, a wave of espionage cases was spreading across the United States.
The money trails don't lie.
The press would eventually call it the Year of the Spy.
Miller
But behind
is the
that
prime
phrase
suspect.
were real fears about how deeply foreign intelligence had penetrated
The money
America.
trails don't lie.
Miller's case became part of that larger nightmare. The FBI
Miller
was no
is the
longer
prime
simply hunting
suspect.
spies abroad. It was hunting the possibility of betrayal within the American intelligence community itself. Investigators now had to separate rumor from evidence, suspicion from fact, and genuine intelligence threats from carefully constructed deception. But the Soviet intelligence services understood something the FBI knew all too well. Information was power. A single classified document could reveal a source, expose an operation, or give an enemy a glimpse into America's secret methods. And when the person handling that information had once worn the FBI badge, the danger became far more personal. Behind closed doors, investigators worked to understand exactly what had happened and how far the alleged betrayal could reach. The public could see only fragments of the story. The most sensitive details remained buried inside classified investigations and court records. Meanwhile, the Cold War continued. Washington and Moscow were locked in a global struggle where intelligence could matter as much as missiles. Every secret had a price. Every source had a risk. And every compromised operation could have consequences far beyond one person. The question haunting investigators was simple. Was Miller acting alone, or was there something larger behind the case? That question made the investigation even more unsettling. Because espionage rarely begins with dramatic movie-style confrontations. Sometimes it begins quietly, with access, trust, money, pressure, or a relationship that slowly crosses a line. And once that line is crossed, the information being passed can become increasingly valuable. For the FBI, the challenge was not only proving what had happened, it was discovering what might still remain hidden. By 1985, America was learning a painful lesson. The most dangerous secrets were not always protected by locked doors. Sometimes they were protected by people. And when trust inside an intelligence agency begins to collapse, every employee becomes part of the question. Richard Miller's case would become one piece of a much larger espionage crisis that shook American confidence during the Cold War. But the most frightening question was never simply who had betrayed America. It was this: how many secrets could already have been lost before anyone realized there was a problem? In the world of espionage, silence can hide a conspiracy, a mistake, or a betrayal. And in 1985, the FBI was discovering just how difficult it could be to tell the difference. Because when the enemy is invisible, the person standing beside you may suddenly look very different. The Cold War was fought with weapons, armies, and nuclear threats, but some of its most dangerous battles were fought in silence, and sometimes the battlefield was not overseas. It was inside America itself.